A red pill podcast called Fresh and Fit gets pressed on their beliefs in marriage. And shockingly, they made an interesting claim about what could save us from the hypersexuality that is currently on social media that's affecting all of us. Okay. I want you guys to see this video because I think this is going to be one of those good ones to help us learn more about just the things that's going on in our world and how we can overcome this like hypersexuality that's going on. All right. Let's go ahead and hop into this video, watch it, and react to it. Before we do me a quick favor. Hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm so that this video can reach more people like yourself. I truly appreciate you guys, and if you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and tap that subscribe button, and let's hop into this video right now.
As a Christian who got married young, I've been married 11 years now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congrats.
And thank you. And so, I mean, we both had a lot of different perspectives last go around. But it's interesting because we both agree of like, that's not a very bright future for humanity and guys. Like,
It's terrible.
Porn is not a good thing. Sex robots are not a good, none of these things are good things. And it's like, everybody agrees on that. And it's like, yet they're becoming more and more addictive. They're causing guys more depression, more loneliness, more everything. Like, how do these guys stop it from your guys' perspective?
Well, we did an episode on how to quit porn, because I agree with you. I think pornography is the devil. I think alcohol, drugs, gambling, and pornography, all those four things are like the worst things for society. But unfortunately, it's kind of like been a response to feminism, right? The average guy really struggles to get a woman, and average women no longer want average men. So I think that's their way to cope with it. But it starts with getting off of porn. A lot of guys are addicted to porn. I think that's one of the biggest issues.
I think it's a norm because look at social media today. You got streamers pushing gooning, which basically means like you're gonna go jerk off.
Right.
You got people saying, you know what, it's normal. Don't relax. Like sex is normal. And the more we move away from God as a whole society, it's almost like if you're saying, here's a replacement. Do what you will and do whatever you want. And that just means you're gonna do depraved stuff.
Yeah.
So I think for most people here, going back to God would be the best way. But then again, how do you quit porn? How do you stop doing these things? It's because to you is normal. It's a norm now. So it's just natural.
And the other thing.
So he said, going back to God is the way to overcome this, or the way to like this. That's the best option for, individuals that's having trouble, sexual trouble, or just with the lack of God in our country and in social media, in our culture. That creates this avenue where we can do whatever we want, whatever we think is the best way, whatever we desire, we can do that. And he's absolutely right. Okay, this is
for a lot of people, even with my audience, who probably look at you guys and maybe your belief system with women and everything else is like, do you guys still, I think last time you guys weren't big fans of like marriage or even monogamy with one person. Like, where do you guys stand on all that today?
You want to take that first?
Yeah, so I think we still stand strong on our marriage point of views because obviously men are being destroyed still in the marketplace and court system.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys have the hope of getting married because they believe there's going to be this one true woman for them, which I think is a way to think, but not nowadays because of the current culture, society, social media.
Well, hold on. Let's tell them what our stance is on marriage first.
Yeah.
Some people might. Yeah. So our stance on marriage is this. I believe in it as a institution. I think it's great. I think it's the best way to raise children. However, I don't like the way that we do marriage now, which is with the state involved, where she could divorce you, and she's incentivized a lot of the times where she could take your money, your resources, etc. So if you can find a way to get married without the state involved, do it. That's my thing. So I believe in marriage. I think it's a good thing, especially from like a religious standpoint. And then obviously it's the best way to have a nuclear family. But the way that we do it now in modern society with the state involved is the problem. So if you could do it without the state involved, I'm for it. That's our stance on marriage.
Yeah, you can like, for example, go overseas, marry over there, but marrying here under the actual government is an issue.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? Somebody had told me this. In California, if you're married for like 10 years and you get a divorce, you owe alimony for life.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That's scary.
I was like, dude, like, how does that make any sense?
And this is why I tell guys, like, look, if you want to get married, like, you got to
Don't
understand.
do it in California.
Yeah, like that's the other thing. Yeah, like
Don't do it anywhere, bro.
yeah, like that's the problem is that like depending on where you live, depending on how the family court systems are, that will dictate your ability to get married with peace of mind. Because the problem is that, right, here's the thing: you might marry the girl, right, and you love her, everything is great, but then maybe something turns sideways, maybe you do something that pisses her off, or the other way around. People change, and what ends up happening is she realizes, oh, I actually get rewarded for leaving this guy. He has this much amount of money. I haven't worked in a few years. So it incentivizes them to divorce. Then we look at the stats, 70 to 80% of divorces are initiated by women. And why is that? Well, it's because we have an asymmetrical family court system that sets the guys up for failure. So it's not that we don't believe in marriage. We just don't believe in the way that it's done now with the government that we have. So if you can find a way to do it without the court system, without her leaving you and taking all your money, do it. Especially if you got kids.
You know,
Okay, and look, I don't agree with a lot of the things that they say. Maybe 2 years ago when I first found them, Fresh and Fit, in the podcast, I was watching it a lot. I was watching Kevin Samuels, and you automatically get sucked into that whole sphere of just thinking the way that they think. You actually develop this philosophy that they have the more you listen to them. So you got to be careful when listening to these guys, because a lot of the things they say I don't agree with, but I do agree with what he's saying now in a way. I do agree that the states and the government incentivize getting a divorce or single motherhood. And the reason I say that is because of what they have set up for single mothers so that it's easier to get a divorce. It's easier to leave your partner and be a single mother. You get all kind of government benefits, and you pretty much don't have to work. That happens a lot. And I do think that's a problem because it creates this area where women, if anything goes wrong, they can just divorce and they'll still be fine, which back in the days, it wasn't like that. Now, I'm not saying that women should stay in every relationship. I'm just saying that there's got to be biblical reason to divorce. And in this day and age, no one divorces for biblical reasons. Even Christians leave each other for reasons that they shouldn't do it. And let me just point this out regarding Fresh and Fit, okay? They also believe that men should have multiple women. And so I also believe that men should practice monogamy. I don't think that men should have multiple women. I think that anytime that happened in the Bible, there was always consequences that came from that. Just because it was in the Bible doesn't mean that it was good.
Perspective is, from a secular point of view, let's say you're not religious, it's hard to argue with anything you're saying, right? Because, if you're not religious, technically, marriage should not even really mean much to you. It's just a thing.
Yeah.
It's a legal commitment, like you're saying. We're going to own things together, all of that stuff. Obviously, from the Christian point of view, our belief is that you get married once and it's for life. Two people become one flesh. And, and it's not to say that Christians don't get divorced or anything, but there is a statistic that Christians who pray together every night get divorced 1% of the time. That's great. The statistic, right?
Damn.
And so you start to think about these things, right? If you go from a Christian, I can only speak from a Christian point of view. Sure. I can't speak for Muslims or whatever, right?
If the divorce rate for a family that pray together is 1%, the national divorce rate is 42%. So that means a family that prays together it's almost rare that you're going to get a divorce over the national divorce rate of just anyone being 42%. That is crazy. That lets you know that the term, the family that prays together stays together, that lets you know how true that is, because that's an actually insane statistic right there.
You go into this and it's like, well, we're committing this literally for life. And I think a lot of just normal secular people, they don't think like that. They maybe aspire. They're like, yeah, this is, but they're not really committed to it, right? Whereas for us, it's like, dude, if we have problems, hey, we're truly committed to this for life. We're going to figure out how to resolve this. And on top of that, it's just if you have the same objective source of truth, it's hard to really change in that way from a moral standpoint, right? It's if your spouse wanted to go join OnlyFans tomorrow, it's well, that would clearly it goes against everything we believe, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas if there is no objective source of truth between both of you, it's all subjective.
Yeah.
then it does become hard because it's like, well, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking like it's not that big of a deal. So I think like a lot of people who get married, especially when they're, not rooted in faith, they don't even really have aligned moral values or have any idea of where they even want to go.
That's a very good point. I would give a little rebuttal here just because I agree with what you're saying. But nowadays, Christian people are following what they believe is right. So let me
Subjectively.
So in context, they're going to say to you, okay, I believe in the Bible and what it says, I believe in God.
Yeah.
But realistically, they're partying on Saturdays.
Yep.
Going to church on Sundays.
100%.
And then to them, it's like, you know what? I feel like the verse says this, so I'll interpret it this way.
Yeah,
and we had on the show before. This girl's
yeah.
arguing that in the hierarchy of what God said, women are on par with men. They're equal to men. I'm like, where in the Bible does it say that? Nowhere. So it's like, they'll read a verse out of context and say, you know what? This is true.
Yeah.
This is my belief. And that's scary because imagine marrying someone like that.
Yeah.
You think that they love God and they love Christ, but what do they really love? Themselves. So to me, it's scary because you never really know someone's true allegiance to God. It may seem a certain way till death do us part, but to them it's like till I feel like.
Well, so my wife and I were.
What do y'all think about that? You think he got a point? I think that he's talking about Christians that are not real Christians. Okay. It's kind of ironic that he said that because he's also a Christian. If I'm not mistaken, he even got a cross on, and I've seen the podcast a couple of times. I believe he's a Christian. And so for him to say that, he's in the clubs. You know what I mean? So that's kind of hypocritical for him to say. But he does have a point. There's Christians that absolutely do that. And there's Christians that absolutely follow the traditions of the world instead of following Christ. And like I said, that leads to more chaos, confusion, and that leads to problems, honestly. If you follow Christ, there's going to be less of that. And as far as him on men and women being equal, this is where they kind of get iffy because we all know men and women are not equal as in like physical nature, mental nature, things like that. We know that men are stronger by nature. We know that women are more affectionate by nature. We know that the Bible says that the man is the leader and that the woman should follow, or the man is the head, and the head of man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man. We know that. So there's roles that women need to follow because that is what they're intended to do from God. That's their commandment from God. And there's roles that men need to follow because that's what God commanded us to do. But in a sense of equality, as in we are all human, absolutely. As in, is there anyone better than anyone in a relationship? No, there's not. We are all equal in that sense. I am no better than my wife. The decisions that I make, I don't only consider myself with those decisions. I consider my wife. I consider my kids. I speak to my wife about it. Get her opinion. A lot of times I take her opinion because sometimes it's better than mine. And so, yeah, we are all equal in that sense. But I think they take it a little too far with that. And I think that's where I draw the line at.
So my wife and I were young when we got married.
Yep.
But the first thing we did was pre-marriage counseling.
Mm-hmm.
And so like things like that got addressed right out the gate.
Yeah.
And so the pastor's like, hey, you understand like the husband's the head of the household. The husband is the leader of all of this, right? God created woman to serve man alongside. She's
Damn
supposed
right.
to be the helper.
Make that sandwich.
This guy, bro.
This guy.
That's what I'm talking about right
the
there.
point was, she was there to support.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of guys, and this is kind of like what you were just talking about too, because a lot of things you're saying are like actually Christian beliefs, whether Christians realize it or not. It's like,
Well, I grew up in a Muslim household. Yeah, and this is with all the Abrahamic religions. We think this way. But sorry, continue on.
So it's like a lot of guys are like, well, the Bible says she needs to submit to me, like, and all these things. And it's like, I learned this from a pastor. His name's Erwin McManus. And, the word submit means to come under, sub, and come under their mission. So that's what the, I don't know if it's Hebrew or Greek or whatever the word is in the Bible, but to submit is to come under and support his mission.
Yep.
The problem is most of these dudes don't got a mission.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
we're like, why doesn't she support me?
Yeah.
Fool, what is there to support? You
Yeah.
don't do anything.
And I want to be clear about that too. We get a lot of, one of the things we're known for is, oh, you guys just shit on women all day. Actually, if you like take hours spent we spend way more time shitting on men. It's just that no one watches that because no one
doesn't go
cares
viral.
when you criticize men. They only care when you criticize women. And one of the biggest things we say, I tell guys all the time, you don't deserve to have a girlfriend if you can't support her.
Right.
What the fuck do you mean 50-50? Like, no. Like this
exactly.
50-50 and all this other shit. Like, my girl's here with me now. She travels everywhere with me.
Yep.
She doesn't pay anything. She takes care of my dog and our dogs. And she lives a great life, right? And I think women need to be in their feminine. The only way they can be in their feminine is when they're not fucking working, right? They're kind of helping you and doing what they're supposed to do. They're not designed to go out there and work and labor and all this other stuff. Like, no. So I think a byproduct of why we have so many masculine women is because we tell them you're equal to a man and it's going to be 50-50 and pay the bills and stuff. I think that's ridiculous. Like, if I want 100% authority over my woman, I need to also have 100% responsibility over my woman. So I tell her, hey, we're going to do X, Y, Z, but she doesn't have to worry about anything because I cover everything.
Yeah.
So guys want a girl that's going to be submissive and do what they say, but they can't pay the fucking bills. So it goes both ways. I think if you want that authority that a lot of guys yearn for, you need to be responsible too.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with some of the things that he's saying. And while he was speaking, something actually came into my mind. And it's that women, back in the biblical times, women were given to men, right, from their parents. Women did not, when they turned 18, they did not just leave the house and do whatever they wanted to do or go work a job or whatever. They stayed with the parents until they found a husband, and the husband took the woman and took care of her and created a family with her. And that's not the thing that happens in Western society. So now you got women that grind, and they have no time to figure out how to start a family. They don't have time to find a husband. And a lot of women are tired and they're stressed out because they got all these bills. And I don't think women were designed to do that. I think that was a man's design. Women were, like he said, women are designed to support a man. But when you are out here being an independent woman and you living by yourself and you just grinding, where is the time to prepare yourself for marriage? Where's the time to like change your mindset to marriage so that you can find a husband? And so, yeah, I think that is a problem in our society. And I think that also contributes to divorce rates. Women having to work alongside of a man, paying 50-50, and both of y'all tired. And if you got kids, it's even harder. So a lot of things can come into play. And I actually thought about a couple of years ago, that was my mindset. I was like, I don't want my wife to continue to have to work these shifts. It was hard for our family to be able to function properly when both of us were working full time. Both of us are grinding, and then both of us are tired, and then we barely see each other, and no one really at the house to take care of the house situation and the kids if something happened at school. And so I was like, you know what? Regardless of what this looks like, I have to make a change. My wife, she can't work full time anymore. She can do something. I don't want her working for a corporation or anything like that. But if she wanted to start a business for herself, or if she had, something on the side, whatever the case may be, that's fine. As long as it's ours, the families. But yeah, man, I really think that more men should take that into consideration, that 50-50 puts a lot of responsibility on the woman that she probably shouldn't have. And it creates more problems that can occur in a relationship. Now, it can work. I'm not saying it can't work. I know that it can work, and I know families do it. I know a lot of families do it. I'm not saying that it's not possible. I'm just saying that it doesn't work for everybody. And there are some women who prefer not to work, and they will prefer to be home, take care of the kids, take care of the house, and do that role. And as the man, it should be your responsibility to pick up the pace financially and on that side so that your wife could do that. So yeah, bottom line, the Bible is the way to go when it comes to marriage. The Bible is the way to go when it comes to men and women and how we are supposed to be sexually. And whenever we step outside of what the Bible says, then chaos happens. And then we start running into problems. And then we got these different things that pop up, and we do what we want to do. We follow our own desires. And then that ultimately destroys us. So we need to follow the Bible. We need to follow God's way. It's always going to be the best way to go. Let me know what you guys think about this video in the comment section. All right. If you're new to the channel and you like what you see, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button and hit the post notification bell so you do not miss another video. My name's Aaron Page. I'll catch y'all on the next video. Until next time, I'm out.